Tell me we do something for God and country and go back to work. That's a good one right there. I'm going to kick your butt, chum. Can you threaten to kick me in a funny way? Pawn Stars has dominated reality TV shows for over 10 years, but it has finally taken a bad turn. At 59, Rick Harrison confirms his son's life sentence is true, revealing the cause of his death and the circumstances that led to it. But this is not the only member of the Pawn Stars show involved in shocking scandals, from Rick Harrison's scandalous legal battles with his mother to Chumlee's run-ins with the law. Join us as we uncover the controversies that threatened to tarnish the legacy of this once-cherished series. The reality TV show Pawn Stars achieved a lot of popularity after it debuted on the History Channel in 2009. The show follows the daily operations of the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas. Because of the show's success, the shop and its owners became household names and famous worldwide. The idea for the show came up in 2008 when Brent Montgomery and Colby Gaines of Left Field Pictures visited Las Vegas. They noticed many pawn shops in the city, creating a show that followed a family-run pawn shop. This led to the gold and silver pawn shop run by Richard "Old Man" Harrison, his son Rick Harrison, and Rick's son Corey "Big Horses" Harrison. They owned the pawn shop together until Richard died in 2018. On the show, viewers enjoyed watching the daily operations of gold and silver pawn shop. It also showcased the interesting items the viewers brought to the shop and appraisals of the items by the shop's owners. The shop originally focused on buying and selling gold and silver. The founder, Richard Harrison, brought decades of experience and a non-nonsense demeanor to the business, establishing the shop as a top name in the pawn industry. His sharp wit and candid personality would make him a beloved figure among fans of the reality TV show. The highlight of the business and the show came when Richard Harrison came on with his entrepreneurial skills. After learning from his father, he understood the details of the pawn business and knew that it was more than just transactions. It was also about the customer's stories, as stories backed some of the items brought in. In 2009, Pawn Stars premiered on the History Channel and became famous. 3 generations of stars followed, with Rick Harrison and his 3 sons continuing the legacy of Richard Harrison after he passed away in 2018. Unlike traditional reality TV programs, Pawn Stars focused on the fascinating artifacts in the shop, from historical coins and Civil War relics to celebrity memorabilia and antique weapons. The items were often accompanied by intriguing backstories that captivated audiences. Rick Harrison showcased an impressive knowledge of gold, silver, and collectibles, which was important to the show's success. He was the intellectual anchor of the series, as he could explain the significance and value of various items. He could negotiate with customers with his charm and quick wit. The rest of the cast also contributed to the show's widespread appeal. In addition to Richard and Rick Harrison, Rick's 3 sons sometimes appeared on the show. Corey was a mainstay, while Adam and Jake were also seen occasionally. The show quickly became a cultural phenomenon, drawing millions of viewers and turning the Harrison family into a household name. It is a mix of unpredictable customer interactions, educational segments about historical artifacts, and the family dynamic. The popularity of Pawn Stars elevated the profile of the gold and silver pawn shop and created a surge in public interest. With the popularity and success of the show, it led to spin-offs, merchandise, and international fame. Tourists worldwide have been going to the gold and silver pawn shop to see the reality stars and witness the pawn shop deals. Through their business acumen and on-screen charisma, the Harrisons transformed a small pawn shop into an empire, cementing their legacy as cultural icons. One of Rick Harrison's sons, Adam Harrison, has had a turbulent life. At 59, Rick Harrison confirms his son's life sentence, revealing the tragic truth. His son had suddenly passed away for a surprising reason, but it was revealed that he was in prison before he died. According to a police report, the officers in Vegas responded to a call reporting an unresponsive person on Friday. That person turned out to be Rick's son, Adam. When the responding officers arrived, they confirmed that Adam was deceased, and then his backstory of what happened in the past days was revealed. The cops were told that Adam had been staying in a guest house at the property. He had just been released from jail after serving 3 months. It was unknown what he had been sent to jail for, but the landlord said he offered him the guest house out of kindness. The officers also interviewed Adam's roommates, who had been living there. They found out that Adam had not been in the main house for a long time, and whenever they sent him a message, he stated that he was ill and under quarantine. But when they didn't hear from Adam Harrison, The roommates tried knocking on his door for many days, but no one answered. Eventually, they called the landlord, and after opening the suit, they realized that he had passed away. Adam had only been staying on the property for about 2 weeks, and he had erratic and strange behavior before this. Adam had been living behind bars for months, which was something that you wouldn't expect from the son of a reality show star. He had just been released from prison, and he often locked himself into his little guest house without interacting with others. His roommates had also suspected that he had been using drugs while locking himself up, and many believed that he had gone to prison for 3 months due to related charges. The son of Pawn Stars Rick Harrison, Adam Harrison, was said to have lacked sound reasoning and mental clarity before eventually passing away. One of his neighbors, who lived in an RV close to the main and guest houses, told the police that he displayed alarming behavior like barricading himself in the house and pushing furniture against the doors. She said his conversations often lacked sound reasoning and mental clarity. She also said that when he found out a certain person had a boyfriend, he gave himself 2 black eyes. She had said that he didn't want to beat up the new boyfriend, so he beat himself up instead. Rick Harrison revealed that his son Adam died due to a fentanyl overdose. When he was found, it was weeks after he had passed away. He already had a history of drug use and commonly used alcohol, fentanyl, and opioids. The police found 2 vials of a substance next to his bed, and there was also a foil with an unknown pill, lighters, and narcotic paraphernalia straws. When speaking on his son's death, Rick revealed the true reason why his son passed away was because of a fentanyl overdose, and he blamed America's border crisis for this. On Twitter, he wrote, "Yes, I can confirm Adam died from a fentanyl overdose. The fentanyl crisis in this country must be taken more seriously. It seems it is just flowing over the borders, and nothing is being done about it. We must do better." The cause of death of Adam Harrison was then confirmed by the Clark County Office of the Coroner Medical Examiner. The official cause of death was ruled to be an accident due to fentanyl and methamphetamine toxicity. He was 39 years old when he passed away. In another post mourning his son, he wrote, "You will always be in my heart. I love you, Adam." Although his son was barely featured on the long-running reality TV series, he was often spotted on social media pages. Adam Harrison's death is not the only one related to drug overdoses in the United States. In 2023 alone, overdose facilities surpassed 112,000 for the first time, showing the devastation caused by it. It seems like a repetition of the crack cocaine crisis of the 1980s and the opioid epidemic of the early 2000s. According to the Drug Enforcement Agency, fentanyl is a Schedule II controlled substance that is similar to morphine but about 100 times more potent. 2 milligrams of fentanyl, which is less than a grain of salt, can be lethal, depending on the person's body size. Richard Harrison, the original founder of Pawn Stars, passed away in 2018. 4 years later, there were many legal disputes and family betrayals surrounding their business. Then, by 2024, Adam Harrison passed away, which had a major impact on Rick Harrison's life. In February 2022, Joan Harrison, Rick Harrison's mother and Richard Harrison's wife, sued him over family assets and the ownership of the gold and silver pawn shop. The lawsuit was filed in Nevada State Court. Joanne claimed that her son Rick had forced her to sign over her 51% interest in the pawn shop while she was in a coma. She also alleged that her son had stopped sending her money from her share of the business. She claimed Rick also reduced her stake in the business without her consent and blocked her from accessing the family's trust. She also claimed that Rick kept her in the dark about a $3 million loan secured using some of her assets. In the legal battle, she sought an accounting of assets, unspecified damages, and a court order banning Rick from using funds belonging to her. She also requested a temporary restraining order to stop Rick from selling the family's assets. In her legal filings, Joanne alleged that Rick failed to provide her with financial documentation for assets exceeding $500,000, further deepening her mistrust. She also claimed that in 2020, Rick ceased her $225,000 annual payments, which she argued she was entitled to as a shareholder and a part of the family legacy. The financial strain and the alleged withholding of information exacerbated the rift, transforming private grievances into a public family feud. In response, Rick said that someone was influencing his mother's decisions. He has said that he tried to reach his mother many times in the past months but has been unable to. The passing of Rick's father revealed the cracks beneath the polished surface of their famous pawn empire. Following the patriarch's death, the family dealt with bitter legal disputes and betrayal. There is conflict over the family business's ownership and finances. Even though Rick had publicly denied all of these, it still harmed Pawn Stars and his behavior. The case highlighted the complex intersection of family fame and business, often leading to complications when fracturing trust. For fans of the show, which had long portrayed the Harrisons as a close-knit family working together to preserve their business, the legal battles presented a stark contrast. Another challenge that Rick Harrison faced was during the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic brought a lot of challenges to businesses around the world, and the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop was no exception. It was made famous by the History Channel's show. It was once a thriving enterprise generating annual revenues exceeding $1 million. In 2020, however, the shop only had a revenue of $37,746. It was one of the most challenging periods for Pawn Stars. Rick Harrison, the owner and star of Pawn Stars, openly discussed the challenges the shop faced during the pandemic. With fewer tourists visiting Las Vegas, a city heavily reliant on tourism, the pawn shop's customer base dwindled. The shop, usually bustling with visitors eager to experience its mix of history and pop culture, became eerily quiet. The lack of in-person interactions also affected the range of unique items brought in for sale or pawn, a cornerstone of the store's appeal on television. The pawn shop struggled financially, and Rick noted some unexpected trends during the pandemic. Despite the economic uncertainty, he observed a surge in customers looking to purchase items. "People are spending a lot of money," Harrison remarked, pointing to the government's stimulus payments as a contributing factor. The influx of government assistance and inflation created an unusual dynamic where people were simultaneously cautious and willing to spend on valuable or collectible items. One of the most shocking moments was when a customer came to the shop to sell a bag of human skulls. Although this was quite funny and something to discuss on another episode of his show, he still declined the sale. These unusual happenings were common during the pandemic, showing how much the store and people suffered. When talking about the pandemic, he reflected on the 2008 financial recession. It was a year after this that his show finally debuted. For 4 years, he pitched the idea of Pawn Stars to different investors, but most people doubted its appeal, with one asking whether anyone would want to watch 4 fat guys in a pawn shop. However, after the show was launched, it achieved massive growth among other reality shows and attracted widespread attention worldwide. However, the deaths in the Harrison family and the conflict over the property are not the only scandals plaguing Rick Harrison. Aside from Rick Harrison and his sons, another important personality on the show is Austin "Chumley" Russell. However, he has been facing a lot of legal battles, which have affected the show negatively and changed how the audience perceives him. While on screen, he is lighthearted and quirky, but his off-screen life is full of fighting and police raids. In 2012, he was arrested for a physical altercation in Hollywood. This was not so extreme, and the details of the incident were hidden, but it had already led to some concerns about his behavior. By 2016, his legal troubles had entered a whole new level. His home in Las Vegas was raided due to an investigation into allegations. The police didn't find any proof of it but found many incriminating items, including unregistered firearms, traces of cocaine, and a massive stash of marijuana and methamphetamine. He was facing 19 drug possession charges and 1 felony weapon charge, with the potential for more charges. So, Chumley decided to strike a plea deal and avoid prison time. He pled guilty to the weapons charge and a misdemeanor drug possession charge, allowing him to avoid jail time. He still had to go through probation and mandatory counseling. He publicly apologized and showed remorse for his actions. The scandal still had a massive negative impact on the reality show, and many viewers watched to see what his future on the show would be. Some viewers supported him, saying he had a genuine personality, while others were against him due to his scandals.